In exactly 1 month, Cincinnati will mark a milestone, 10 years after the riots. As part of that observance, we are beginning a special series of stories tonight. They are intended to engage you and all of your neighbors in looking at where we are as a community and individuals 10 years after the unrest in April of 2001.
In 10 years later, a changed city, we will present 30 stories in 30 days, culminating in a documentary April 7th. In the next 30 days, we want you to listen to a wide variety of voices. We hope to spur at least conversation, if not action. That will engage you by joining the conversation, we hope, and act to help in areas where you see need. We start tonight with a look at two men, one trying to change what is acceptable, the other seeing change before his eyes every day.
If you were in Cincinnati in April of 2001, these images may be seared in your memory. The rage, the hostility, the violence, sights and sounds of a city seemingly coming apart at the seams.
It's tempting to focus on those dramatic images, but that's not what we're going to do. Over the next 30 days, my colleagues at WCPO and I will look not so much at where we were, but how far we've come since then and how far we have to go.
We won't ignore the past, but we won't dwell on it either. Instead, we'll listen. We'll hear from newsmakers, but we really want to hear from you and your neighbors about where we are today, 10 years after the upheaval.
You know, these days they telling you, you're a nerd to be smart. It's not good to make A's. Don't you buy into that.
I talked to Deron Hunter, one of your neighbors and an apostle of education, spreading the good news this day to some young men in need of motivation. Deron works with the Young Men's Program at Mercy Franciscan St. John and Over the Rhine with 25 young men a week. He's a role model, a father figure to them.
I was so amazed at how many young men down here don't even know their fathers. I'm not talking about having seen them. They don't even know them.
Hunter pushes back against that with old-fashioned values.
Never lie, cheat, or steal.
And 10 years after the riots, he's seen a change in his boys that mirrors what's happening in their neighborhood.
I've seen more police that are engaged in conversation with the people in the Over the Rhine community. I've seen the people in the Over the Rhine community try to understand the police side of things.
I found another of your neighbors, Colonel D. Stewart.
Love that. Good enough out there.
The owner of Colonel D's Herbs and Spices in the Findlay Market and president of the market's business association. Stewart opened for business in 2005, and he says, contrary to what you might expect, business in the renovated Findlay Market is booming.
We are so far ahead of last year that it's ridiculous. And this is our fourth straight year of at least 30% growth.
Stewart told me that may be the result of a change he's starting to see, growing numbers of young professionals and retirees coming to the market during the week. Stewart said the sheriff's patrols a few years ago helped calm customers' fears, and gradually he started to see the real promise of Findlay Market. Customers from different races, different communities, different incomes, talking.
And they'll start to share recipes. And at that moment, that's one of the most magic things I've ever seen happen. And I don't know that particular transaction between those two people would occur anywhere else in this city.
Before the tumult, everybody said Cincinnati needs to talk about race. And after the riots, we did talk on TV shows, in community groups, for a while. So maybe 10 years later, it's time for Cincinnati to start talking again about talking.
Hunter and Stewart, living in a rapidly changing Over the Rhine, certainly believe in the value of Cincinnatians talking.
I think we're still a little bit too isolated. Hopefully it'll come. Hopefully it'll change.
If we can just keep the lines of communication open between the policemen, the community leaders, I think things will be even better than what I'm seeing right now.
Now here's what's crucial. As a part of this project, we want to hear your story. 9 News will be in several neighborhoods this week, so go to our WCPO 10 Years Later Facebook page to see where our cameras are going to be and when. You can also join the conversation in our special section, WCPO.com/10 years later, on Twitter at 10 years later, and Facebook on our 10 years later page.
And you can get involved in changing the city. You can mentor, you can volunteer, you can help by donating to programs we will be talking about in our series. You can find a list of ways you can do that on our website, WCPO.com/10 years later.